Hello and welcome to PGurus channel. I am your host Sri Iyer. I am here with a very distinguished Professor of Finance, Professor R Vaidyanathan of IIM Bangalore. Professor Vaidyanathan, welcome to PGurus channel. And Professor has recently retired from IIM, and it seems to me that you are busier now than when you were teaching at IIM Bangalore.
Currently, I am the chair professor with Sastra University in public policy.
And you have been writing quite a bit, and you are one of those original thinkers of about India, especially its unincorporated sector.
My book also on black money is getting.
Oh, great! So you're about to release a new book about black money
and tax havens.
And black money and tax havens, and this
on
is
October
slated
3.
on 3rd of October, and possibly in more than one city. We'll just keep it at that point. We will, of course, we'll get back to you on the actual dates when that happens. And we hope to see all of you readers at the book ceremony. And as Professor RV would like to say, he doesn't care if you read the book, but he wants you to buy the book. So, Professor, today we are going to talk about a list of topics. The first one I would like to discuss with you is the definition of democracy. Now, democracy is a three-legged stool, where the three legs are legislative, executive, and judiciary. The legislature is supposed to enact laws, which the executive in turn is supposed to execute, and the court or judiciary steps in to clarify anything about how these laws that are being framed, whether they are applicable under the new constitution or if constitution itself has to be changed. Now, what we are seeing, in fact, this is still playing out, is executive pretty much lording it over the legislature. By that, what I mean is what you're seeing now about 19 or 21 MLAs, depending on who you talk to, being closeted in a resort in Pondicherry or maybe in India, in Chennai. We don't even know that. But suffice to say, a group of MLAs have been MLA-napped, just like kidnapped, MLA-napped by one group. And somehow they are not being allowed to meet their families or express their views on the unfolding situation. So, Professor, I would like to refresh our readers about when this all started. As far as my memory goes, the first instance of this was in 1983 when N.T. Ramarao had formed the first non-Congress government under Telugu Desam Party. He came to power on the self-respect of Telugus. His one-liner was, Aru Lakshala Andrula Atma Gauravam. I think you understand what he's saying. Aru Kotla Andrula Atma Gauravam. So the self-respect of 6 crores of Telugus. He came to power, but just before he went to elections, a couple of Congress heavyweights jumped ship from Congress and joined him. And using one of these people, Indira Gandhi, who was the Prime Minister at that time, tried to split the Telugu Desam Party. She essentially at the last minute, she tried to pull the rug from underneath N.T. Ramaro's feet. And what he did was, he had a studio in Hyderabad called Ramakrishna Studios. So he basically kept them like a flock, like a hen tends to its flock. And there were people from Karnataka, at that time Karnataka was ruled by Congress, who had come to Hyderabad, and they had camped there with money bags. And they were trying to buy these legislators off. And for a while, N.T. Ramarao was able to keep them there, but he was running out of options because the governor would not give him the time of the day. So he was running out of options. So what he decided to do was, he decided to take his flock and parade them in front of the President of India, at that time Gyani Jail Singh. And this is 1983, 1984, sometime like that. And only when that happened, by the way, that train was delayed for 8 hours from Hyderabad to Delhi, because the railways knew which train all these legislators were traveling. They tried to slow it down as far as possible. Probably inducements also provided along the way. But suffice to say that he did go there and he did parade his legislators in front of the president, and only then Indira Gandhi leave out. Those of you who are bhakts of Indira Gandhi, who thinks she was the greatest leader of India, you may want to remember this data point about her too. So let's fast forward to the present. Now what we saw are three different instances where this kind of MLA napping happened. First was the entire set of almost all of the ADMK MLAs being kept in Kuvatur just before their floor test, right? And then Palaniswamy becomes chief minister, and very soon fractures emerge, and now there is three different factions. Two of them have temporarily merged. We don't know what's going to happen. But so there is now again we have that MLA napping, and in between these two, the Congress trying to protect its flock in Gujarat. They take their MLAs and they come down to Bangalore and they stay there because they were afraid that their nominee, Rajya Sabha nominee, will not be able to get elected. So, sir, so basically my question to you is, legislature is really under a lot of stress. We are not, the legislature does not seem to know its role.
Yeah.
So how do you see this play out, and what needs to be done to correct this thing? Because now we have one most important tool, social media, right? So please, if you can think about, I have a tool, social media, and I have this problem. How do I go about solving this problem?
You have enunciated very clearly what took place, and it's only a symptom. It's not the disease. The disease is, we call them as lawmakers, these MLAs, MPs and others.
Right.
Unfortunately, most of them are not familiar with any of the laws or the making of the laws or systems, or they just go and shout. And they, many a time, if you see the records, the past records in the last few years, they speak totally unconnected things in a subject area. And I am told, and that is one of the reasons why I have been insisting for a long time, that these parliamentary committees should be open to public. It should be thrown open, like the hearing committee in US. And many of the parliamentary committees also, I am told, pertaining to finance, pertaining to defense, pertaining to various other, the participation by the MPs is very poor. In terms of presence, and even those present for collecting their honorarium, in terms of inputs. And everybody, nobody, you see unfortunately it is now being broadcast. Some of the very important bills, when they are discussed, you will hardly find some 10 to 12 people.
Correct.
Sitting in the, and in the assembly it is much worse actually. Very few people participate. And one of the main reason is, as one MLA in Tamil Nadu told me very lightheartedly, not now, quite a number of years before, sir, whatever is passed, let them pass it. At the operational level, we will deal with it. Because everybody feels by mechanics of inducement, corruption, and all these things, nothing will come out of all this.
I see.
So there is a major difference between European and US situation in India. There, before a law is passed, so much agitation is undertaken.
Correct.
So much protest comes.
Churn.
So much is done.
Feedback.
And finally the law is passed. But once the law is passed,
correct,
everybody knows that it has to be followed.
Correct.
Whether you like it or not.
Correct.
And that is the reason why so much churning is taking place before the passing of the law.
Correct.
Here, people know it doesn't really matter. For instance, I will give you a simple example. There is a big agitation going on in Tamil Nadu about NEET.
Correct.
National level test for medical.
Correct.
Now in 2012, this came into effect. Not many people are even aware of it. Quite a number of batches have gone through. And that time actually the current opposition party DMK was in the central government, and they were part of the process of accepting it and passing it.
I see.
So there is, at that point of time, nobody really thought about it or anything. And then after that, 3-4 batches have gone in, right? Suddenly now it has become a major issue. Now, what were these lawmakers doing all this time? Nobody is questioning them.
Right.
So, as per your convenience, you take up something.
Correct.
And then suddenly begin to attack.
Correct.
Not at the time of initiation of that particular law.
Right. Right.
So, that is one.
Right.
Second is, I genuinely feel the lawmakers just signing a attendance register should not be paid any compensation. They must be physically present and then they must contribute to the debate. Otherwise, there is no point. So many of them just sign and collect their honorary. At the state level, it is really very bad actually. If you ask me, many a time state level legislature functioning is a big joke actually. People shout against each other. They throw some paper and mic and other thing, and then most of the time they walk out. There is no reasonable debate taking place. And even if debate is taking place, it is mostly on inanities. That some bus route is not there, some particular ration shop is not functioning properly.
That should not be discussed at legislation level.
That is what is happening today. Most of the legislatures today in India is only a nuance mechanism.
I see.
It is more what you should go and give the collector. That is the next point. More important is the executive is ruling the roost. And now our period I am slowly finding the judiciary has usurped the powers of both legislature and executive.
I see.
Many people straight away go to the court.
I see.
And court also entertains all these petitions.
Frivolous.
So many type of petitions. What should be the height of the Dagiyatti is entertained by Supreme Court of all the places, which is expected to focus on constitutional issues. What should be the, what one can call the type of dance with the bar dancers in Bombay can play. That is also taken up. So all sorts of people approach the court. Now court is more or less considered as a justice giving. Like in the old time in Tamil Nadu there used to be one Chola king called Manunidi Cholan. He was supposed to be having a bell outside his palace. Whoever goes and rings the bell, he will come and then he will tell what has happened.
Dispense justice.
And actually one cow went and rang the bell. Then he came out and found out that the calf of the cow has been hit by his son, the charioteer, in the chariot, and the calf has died. So he was supposed to have given the justice in terms of punishing his own son. And the story goes like that. Now, instead of that, outside the Supreme Court, you can have a bell now, today. Anyone can go and ring the bell. And then the Supreme Court judges will come outside and immediately render justice for you. This is what is happening. It's an extraordinarily painful situation where legislature has lost its luster. And you see, even you go back to the 50s, you read the debates in the parliament between various opposition leaders, Madulimai, Nagpai, and George Fernandez, and Congress leaders, various type. You will find it, eye-opening actually. Lot of important issues and lot of subtleties and debates have taken place. In the last few years, you open again. It is available in the net also. You see the Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha debates. It's very, very pathetic. Worse than a school debate actually. In terms of input, in terms of mostly it is shouting only. So I don't think the quality of the legislatures have fallen so badly. At least in terms of qualification, you find it has improved actually between 1950s and today. And similarly, the age profile is also not, it's much more in terms of matured senior ages only. So there is something somewhere has fallen
through the cracks.
So I think it is the time is there, very important to re-establish the importance of legislature and parliament. And that exclusively and solely, I will say the lawmakers have to be completely held responsible for it. This is what I would rather suggest. One possibility is political parties can contest election. under the symbol. And later, this is there in many other countries also, European countries. The party can nominate people for the seats.
So you get head count.
Yeah.
And then you use that head count to nominate the people
So
who
that
you
is
think
one
will-
way in which parties could overcome this type of a issue.
Right. So you're still
Even today, actually, parties are elected,
Right,
not
right.
individual.
Correct.
Even though he stands there.
correct. Yes.
The point I want to stress is we have to do some critical re-engineering of this, the whole system of elected representatives. How to bring them into accountable.
Right.
Today they are, one can use a strong word, they are more like treated like sheep. The way they are, what you called a nice language in terms of not kidnapping,
Correct.
MLAnapping.
MLAnapping.
They are napping also.
Yeah, that's a different.
In the resort. So
what will you do, right? I mean, you have all day.
extraordinarily very pathetic situation actually.
Right.
That means they are treated like a sheep. There is no individual, what one can call responsibility, or their views are not even known.
Right.
Where do they stand?
Right.
Second is, many of them also feel that there is no difference between their party and the other party.
Other party. Yes.
Because there is no issue of philosophy or ideas or anything like that. All of them mouthing the same thing.
Are you saying this at the state level or at the central also?
Even at the central level,
Okay.
here and there,
I see.
there is some broad
Areas of
differences. Otherwise, an NCP man will think, what is the difference if I am in NCP or in Congress or in BJP? So that is the type of attitude also. This is another thing which is developing. Because there is not much of a clear-cut distinction on many of these issues. Right? There is, except some extreme cases, by and large, whether I am here or there, I have to make money. That becomes
the sole ambition and goal.
Concern or worry is if the judiciary begins to run the government
Correct.
or run the country itself, it is an extremely, I would say, very sad day. The reason is they are supposed to be appellate
Correct.
for any errors, commissions and omissions undertaken by the other two legs.
Correct.
They are supposed to be the referral point and rectify it. And of course, less said the better about the fourth leg, imaginary fourth leg, namely the press.
Fourth estate.
Fourth estate, the less said the better. Because that is in much more of a shambles, and that is losing its credibility also.
Very, very
unfortunately.
fast. Yeah.
Because instead of being mirror to the society at large and other thing,
Right.
they are using the mirror to have makeup to themselves, and then put more lipstick and put more. So their credibility is also very low. So I think we are in a, we are really, what can use the cliche, but we are at crossroads actually, right? The four roads, namely the four dimensions in terms of judiciary, executive and legislature,
Right.
supported by this
Fourth estate.
fourth estate. The four roads are not meeting, but we are in the center of it without knowing which one to take, because one is full of potholes, other is there is no road at all, even though it is claimed there is a road. So this is the type of situation we have landed ourselves in after 70 years of our functioning. Right. Yeah.